What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Joe Cortez, Daniel Dubois, and Alexander Usyk. Get this. Legendary referee says Daniel Dubois' shot against Usyk wasn't a low blow. We all know that Daniel Dubois dropped Alexander Usyk in his world title challenge this past weekend, but the shot on the champion was immediately ruled a low blow. It was the Brit's one pocket of success. He lost the momentum quickly thereafter and would go on to be stopped in the 9th round by Usyk with a little more urgency than fans had seen before. Despite an otherwise dominating performance from the Ukrainian, many in the sport feel Dubois was wronged when he was given ample time to recover from the shot. That, it turns out, includes Hall of Fame referee Joe Cortez. And Joe Cortez had this to say. He said, quote, "To me, that punch was right on the belt. It wasn't a punch for him to get all that time. I would have gave a warning and let it continue, but I would not have given him 5 minutes for that. I don't think it was intentional." Good referee, Luis Pabon. I think with the language barrier, he didn't tell them exactly what was wrong with the low blows. All of these things you address in the dressing room. You don't have time inside the ring prior to the fight, but you got to make sure to have a good interpreter to explain carefully. And he said for him, the shot was not low. He said that was in the 5th round, and when you're fighting, the cup raises up a little bit more. So I would have not called that a low blow, but he got away with it. The referee should have said no. If he'd had started counting, the guy probably would have jumped up. Those are the words of Joe Cortez. And let me counterpunch. First off, I agree with Joe Cortez in regards of this. I agree, and I think, just speculation, that Alexander Usyk would have got up. And then the argument is, what kind of shape would he got up, and what kind of shape would he been in? But then again, we'll never know. It's only speculation because the referee ruled it how he ruled it. The only problem I have with Joe Cortez is you guys, if you read, you heard me just read, he said, I would have gave a warning and let it continue. He said, to me, that punch was right on the belt. It wasn't a punch for him to get all that time. I would have gave a warning and let it continue. Just let that sink in. Why would you give a warning for something that's legal? Counterpunch. Okay? But I would have not given him 5 minutes for that. I don't think it was intentional. You know what I mean? So it was, okay, so you're not really telling us if it was intentional or not. If it was legal, there shouldn't have been a warning given anyway. Okay, and then later on, in the last thing he said, the referee should have said no. If he'd had started counting, the guy probably would have jumped up. He said, but he got away with it. So I would have not called that a low blow, but he got away with it. The referee should have said no. So I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of contradicting reading this article from Joe Cortez, because it's like, okay, well, this is all you should have said. It wasn't low. He should have counted. He got away with it. And if he would have started counting, he would have got up. But that first bid, that really threw me off. But it just shows you how complex this is, okay? A lot of people said, no, it's not complex. Well, obviously it is, because people are all talking about this shit non-transparent, all wishy-washy. Like, oh, well, this, that, and the other. Because it's so many different layers to this. It's like, okay, well, it's different opinions versus the opinion that the referee had. Now, Joe Cortez did raise a good point. Maybe the language barrier, him being from Puerto Rico, maybe he didn't explain the way he's supposed to explain it. Okay. Okay, and then of course Alexander Usyk speaks Ukrainian. That's his primary language. His English is not so much, but he speaks that language. So maybe he didn't understand what was what when he was in explaining it, and maybe the referee didn't explain it because his first language is Spanish. So there is a lot to really consider in this situation. Okay, but this debate lingers, and I do have the part 2 of the Talk Sports interview from yesterday. Part 1 I put out yesterday, and like I promised you guys, I will put out part 2, so we'll go in depth in that and talk about what happened later on in that fight after round 5. Okay, but here is a referee stating that, hey, I would have counted. He got away with it. I would have gave a warning. You know what I mean? I would have just gave a warning, but he wouldn't have got all that time. But that by itself, though, being another ref, and his own opinion about it and how he would have ruled it, it would have dictated the sway of that fight. Okay, so according to Daniel Dubois, though, I got discouraged because I hit him and, it wasn't low, but then, I lost my momentum because they didn't start counting. Well, would your momentum still be at or down or diminished because he didn't start counting? That's a mental thing. Like, dude, you hit him and okay, keep hitting him down there. He didn't stop going to the body. And if he was hurt that bad, we would have knew how hurt he was based on how he was performing. Because if he was really hurt like he said he was, Dubois would have jumped on him just like he did Kevin Ladana and got him out of there. Because there was an uppercut that Dubois threw. And I was like, whoa, if that punch would have hit Usyk, his head would have been in the 5th or 6th row of one of his fans. Because, that punch looked like it had some mustard on it. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Joe Cortez and his take on the referee's ruling. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!